Order. Question number 4, Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Climate Change Issues and asks, given criticisms that the carbon target he set is inadequate, will he set a more ambitious target ahead of the Paris climate negotiations in December?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
On behalf of the Minister for Climate Change, the New Zealand target of a 30% reduction on 2005 emissions is ambitious, and it's consistent with this government's policy of New Zealand doing its fair share. It's comparable with targets from similar countries like the US, Japan and Canada, despite the unique challenges that New Zealand has, with 50% of its emissions coming from agriculture and 80% of our electricity being renewable. We know from the experience of the last government that setting wildly ambitious targets like carbon neutrality and then having net emissions go up by 25% does absolutely nothing for New Zealand's credibility on this important international issue.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Gareth Hughes.
Well, in light of that answer, is he aware that only Russia, South Africa, South Korea and Ukraine have more inadequate targets than New Zealand, according to analysis undertaken by 4 reputable European research organisations?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, no, I don't agree with that analysis at all. And actually, there are key elements of that analysis that actually disagree with Green Party policy. If I look at the target for Japan, it's minus 25%, which compares with our minus 30 off the 2005 baselines. If I look at the figure for the United States, they've said 26 to 28%. That compares very well with our minus 30. It will be interesting to see where other countries like Australia that face similar challenges to New Zealand, when they announce their targets prior to Paris. New Zealand's position is very credible.
Supplementary question, Gareth Hughes.
So does he disagree with renowned climate scientist Professor James Renwick, who said recently, quote, if all countries followed New Zealand's lead, we would be in for very significant climate change impacts and catastrophic damage to the New Zealand and global economy. If not, why won't he consider setting a more ambitious target?
Mr. Speaker,
either of those two supplementary
Mr.
questions,
Speaker, I
Dr Nick
accept
Smith.
a minus 30% target on 2005 emissions is ambitious. Perhaps the government might have been able to set a more ambitious target if, during the period of the previous government, supported by the Greens, emissions had not gone up by a net 25%.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Gareth Hughes.
So does the Minister think that he can negotiate with the science of climate change? And if not, which countries does he expect to pick up the slack if we are as a globe to avoid catastrophic climate change?
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, I can simply repeat that we think this target is ambitious. It's going to require New Zealand to do a lot more over the next 15 years than what both the previous government and the government prior to that has done in respect of the negotiations. And I think every member of this House should be proud of the level of contribution that Tim Grosser is making to the process. It's been more influential than any other climate change minister since this issue first developed in the 1990s.
Question number 5, Paul Foster-Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, my question is to the Minister of Science and Innovation.